Oh no. Lord help. Okay, here we go. Here we go, y'all. All right, that should be it. Can you see me? You should be able to see me now. All right, and you should be able to hear me now. The devil is defeated. God is exalted. Good evening. I hope everybody's doing well. Still kind of hard for me to um kind of embrace this whole daylight saving times piece, but it is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, come on in. Shoot me a shout out. Tell me good evening, please. Ask me how my day was going. While y'all are doing that, I want to read this story, and we're gonna hop into tonight. This is called The Weight of December. If you saw the topic, it is my personal holiday triggers. The holidays for me have traditionally been pretty rough until recent years when I became aware of what was pushing me in a place that was antithetical to what holidays are supposed to be or were supposed to be. Listen to the story. Marcus stood in his Michigan driveway staring at last year's Christmas lights still hanging from his garage. At 34, he was among the 11 to 20% of veterans struggling with PTSD. All right, I know I just said veterans. I know I just said PTSD. Ride with me. PTSD is more than what you think. So yeah, he was among the 11 to 20% of veterans struggling with PTSD, and December had become his hardest month. His phone buzzed. Mom again. Coming home for Christmas? 3 years is a long time, honey. 3 years since Jasmine had left with their daughter, Lily. 3 years since his last attempt at family Christmas, when the neighbor's fireworks had sent him diving behind his mother's couch. The concerned looks had felt worse than the flashbacks. His VA psychiatrist, Dr. Thompson, I'm almost finished with the story, y'all, told him he wasn't alone. Emergency mental health visits increased by 30% during December and January. That is worth saying it again. Emergency mental health visits increased by 30% during December and January. She said, suggesting that he would join the veteran support group. But Marcus understood why less than half of the men in his situation sought help. Sitting in a circle talking about feelings, it felt at odds with everything the military had taught them. Another buzz. His brother James. Lily asked about you. She's getting so big. Maybe a video Christmas call on the morning. Marcus thought and felt tightened in his chest. The custody agreement allowed holiday visits, but he could only explain to a 7-year-old why daddy got jumpy around loud noises. Why? Why he sometimes had to leave when everyone else was happy. He pulled out his phone, remembering Dr. Thompson's words, recovery isn't linear. Sometimes we need to create new traditions that honor our losses while building future joy. His fingers hovered over his mother's message. Maybe this year, he thought to himself, Maybe this year I can start smaller with baby steps. Mom, what if we start with just breakfast on Christmas, just me and you? Sometimes he reflected the bravest thing a soldier could do was admit he didn't have to fight alone. Ah, this encompasses what our time together tonight will look like. The title again, it says that my personal holiday triggers. I want to just start off by saying that PTSD, of course, we're grateful not only for the veterans that have served our country. So grateful for you. America would not be who she is if it were not for the veterans, many who have given their lives. But also, in that same sense, the word PTSD, or the letters PTSD, the words post traumatic stress syndrome, is post traumatic stress disorder. There we go. That those words can extend to more than just the army or war or what happened in war. Again, I'm not taking anything from our veterans. All I'm simply saying is there's a place of trauma. There's a place of trauma that all of us can have a response or a reaction to that is dangerous and can set us off on the inside. That's all that I'm saying. Um, before before Quad was born and after Jordan was born, um, we were pregnant with another child. Alicia miscarried in front of me on the gurney one evening as we were standing in the hospital. Lady stuff started happening. She tells me, she calls the OBGYN. We head to the hospital, kind of like reliving it now. She miscarries in front of me. That happened pretty rough time. End of the year, coincidentally, wink, wink. There was another matter that was going on at the church. Um, that was pretty intense. That was it was just big. It was very big. And it just was simply too much for me to handle in my own world, in my own mind. It was my psychologist then said it was imagining if you had 100 units in a glass that work regular work life, and we were new parents, kind of keep you at a 50, 60. Alicia's miscarriage sent me up to 80. And then with the intensity of a matter at the church was another 40 units if you're keeping up in your math. It's 20 units more than what the cup can handle. And it was that year that I ended up taking my first sabbatical. It was that year that the mental illness piece was initially diagnosed. This led to some very unfortunate subsequent events. And I'm doing this tonight. I'm doing this tonight because there's no reason for you to have to go through what I went through and lived, not for me to go live about it. I think a lot of people will dismiss what the holidays look like, what they do to them, what the holidays don't afford them, how sometimes even the holidays can be crippling to them. You hear what I'm saying? This is traumatic. And every year there's Thanksgiving, last Thursday in the month. Every year we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ on the 25th. Time can be a trigger. And so all I'm saying is, well, first of all, I hope that some of you all have even passed the link on if you got it, or if you are on Facebook or YouTube or wherever it might be, pass the link on to someone that you know may have some rough holidays. And again, tonight, I'm going to talk about my personal triggers, but I really do believe that as I talk about my personal triggers, you might find some of your triggers, some of the triggers for yourself as well. The worst time of the year, the holidays for me can be the worst time of the year. My wife and I have charted this out, and it is so unwelcomed when it happens. It is so unwelcome when it happens. Right around Thanksgiving, a little bit before Thanksgiving. In the past, it should be starting about right now. My demeanor changes. I can get very in my head. I can become a Grinch, and it ain't even Thanksgiving yet. I can feel myself being isolated and looking on the inside only to see what I really need and what I really want is on the outside, but not having a key to the own lock of my jail. That's that's how it looks for me. Now, what is my trigger? My trigger is the holidays. Now, there's a little bit more on that, and I always think that I have resources. If you bring me to a conversation, something that I am versed in, I am going to make the conversation better. I am going to contribute something to that conversation, no matter who is sitting there. I know that. Nobody has to tell me that. I'm not saying that arrogantly. I'm saying that confidently. But in the same sense, because I know that I can contribute something, particularly even around the holidays, it can also I can also be doing it for me. That there's more people that there are more people that say, yeah, I want to know more about that. That I could use some help in getting my holiday seasons together. And actually, it's not really just your holiday seasons. There are other moments throughout the course of the year. Let me give you a big one: Mother's Day. If you've lost a mom, or if you've lost a mother figure, or if your mom is very, very sick and doctors are saying whatever they're saying, these kinds of things, when it comes to time and trauma and trash, time, trauma, and trash can be dealt with in the spirit. But again, I'm talking about what my triggers are. If I get enough interest in that, you leave me a post or a note. Hey, I want to hear about that. You can drop it in the chat here. We get 15 folk or so that are interested in that. Then I'll schedule another one during these holiday seasons to discuss that. So it's the time. My personal trigger is the holidays. Now I've gone back, and I understand why. And got to the point to where we were pretty much just letting it happen. We first had to discover what was happening, and the second thing is we didn't have enough tools or language to combat it. And so actually I started working in reverse. And in order for me to have a good holiday, for our family to have a good holiday, it would have to be an inordinate amount of planning and money spent, or trips, or whatever that might be, um, until I couldn't afford it. And how many know that sometimes your pain can hide behind your wallet? And so we were trying to overcompensate for what that looked like. But then um, also we've moved to a place of victory. We've learned to pray into our holidays. Let me go on. Maybe I'll save some of that if I get enough interest in how is it that we deal with the time, trauma, and trash. Here's another one: the sudden passing away can do it. So, some of us have, maybe we've lost loved ones around the holiday season. I lost my grandmother December 31st, 2005. So for me, this was grandmama down in the country, grandmama's biscuits, and I play with grandmama's ears, and all those kinds of things. And so to have to come back around, that will leave some trash on the holidays. I know someone who had a very, very ugly death that they experienced of a loved one back in the summer. Can you imagine what is going through their head, what they're trying to ignore? as things are moving towards the holidays. These are the kinds of things that I'm telling you about that can hit triggers. And the thing is, now that we have taken the covers off of the triggers, now you can do something about it. Now we can do something about it. You do not have to leave the joy that the holidays were intended to bring you and your family on the table. It simply takes you digging in and saying you can't have it. Please understand that to know where the trigger is to know how to respect the trigger. That is pretty good, Jay. To know where the trigger is to know how to respect the trigger. If you know that past 2 years have been very hard for me because Big Mama wasn't there, just knowing that you can kick in some other tools and begin to grieve and prepare yourself, um, focus more, of course, praying and talking to God more. This holiday season does not have to look like the other holiday seasons have looked. So here's the first time. Here's the first thing about my first trigger. It was just time. Time is cyclical. The second thing, the sudden passing of a loved one, the sudden passing. I guess you could even say the natural passing. But a sudden passing will shake you because it ain't supposed to happen. They weren't supposed to die at that age. That car wreck that caused them to be paralyzed, it wasn't supposed to happen. These kinds of things can be triggers for you. I'm familiar with one lady. She got into a pretty bad car accident. This wasn't around the holidays. This is just to illustrate an example. She got into a pretty bad accident, and she had problems riding with anyone else while someone else was driving. Well, I guess you can't ride with nobody if they aren't driving. But the point was, when she would get to a stoplight, whoever was driving, when they would come to a stoplight, they would begin to depress the brake later than what she would. And so she's hitting the floor mat because that accident that she had traumatized her. If a car was trying to get over, she would jump. She became very skittish. That is what trauma looks like. These are just triggers, y'all. And if you can become aware of what you're, am I helping anybody? If I'm helping anybody, just drop some in the chat. You helping me? You own it. I got triggers too. Some y'all talk back at me. Talk back at me, please. I can't hear your voice, but I can sure read your cyber. Amen. All right. So here's another one. All right. So this one is pretty vulnerable, but I'm cool with it. Something else that triggered me personally during the holidays was when it was time to travel. So, my wife is from Dallas, Texas. And of course, when you get married, you start trying to figure out, how are we going to celebrate the holidays? Um, are we going to be in Atlanta, or are we going to be for Christmas? Or are we going to be in Dallas for Thanksgiving? Anyway, now for 26 years, this will make the 26th year. Alicia and I would have been married in March for 27 years. All right. Yeah, 27 years. Well, that was a time when we went to Dallas. It was no worries. You rent the car that you wanted, wink wink. Stay in the hotel that you wanted to stay in. Swipe the car as many times as you wanted. And then there became a time when, I mean, literally, in order for us to get there, I remember one year having to go on a credit card and had to drive at that. Oh, that's what everybody does and so forth. I'm not talking about you. For me, my trigger was being able to provide a certain level of lifestyle that I was accustomed to and that my wife was growing accustomed to. all the way down till 18 years later. How are we going to get there? And for me, that is a trigger. That's a trigger. Especially if you've had a rough year, especially if you've missed multiple paychecks, especially if there have been some financial surprises that we had to navigate our way through. And now it's time to go. Crap. That's a trigger for me. All right. These are my personal triggers. I'm sure the Holy Spirit is speaking to you and maybe identifying some of your personal triggers as you look at the holidays that are coming. So, what I would do, see, I was raised where whatever dad said, that's what happened. When they were married, when my parents were married, and when they were divorced. Whatever dad said, that is what was going to happen. Now, uh shucks, I forgot what I was about to say. Hold on. Time traveling, most stations. Uh Man. Oh, I remember now. I remember now. My son, my do not disturb is on. Did anybody else's do that? You put your do not disturb on and text messages still come through. I don't know what's up with that. Okay. You keep hearing chimes, Quad says I'm gonna be proud of him about something. So go quiet. So for me, I would turn inside. Now back to this is where dad makes sense. So whatever dad said, he never told my mother, Roberta, this is what I'm dealing with. Roberta, I gotta make sure. He never said those kinds of things. Dad was a man's man and would solve the problem however he solved the problem. That was my model. My model was you don't talk to your wife about a problem. You figure it out. You make it happen. And that created so much stress in our marriage, particularly during the holidays, because I would go inside. I would be trying to figure out in my mind how this was going to happen. I do believe there was some pretense that was in there. There was some pride that was there. How can I not get us to her parents' home for Thanksgiving because we short on money? That was hard. That was very hard. And that was a trigger. Even this year, we knew it was coming. Start putting some stuff to the side, expecting some things. I started to get a little aggravated. Like, why am I thinking like this? Oh, got it. Time to travel. Y'all know how hotel food can be too, right? Um, it's my trigger. I'd be really interested to know what someone else's triggers are. If you have determined or discerned what your triggers are, I'd really be interested. Just drop that there. All right, here's another one, and I said it was going to be a bonus. I think I did. We'll see. Here's the next one: decorations. Decorations. My wife loves to decorate, and uh, I just didn't like doing it. Again, I can look back on it and see why this whole trauma, time, and trauma and trash. I understand a part of the reason why, but I'm talking about Starbucks just released their seasonal flavor, and the cup has a Christmas tree and peppermint on it. I'm like, give me the plain cup. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm really not. Like the thought of, and here it was, having to decorate, having to decorate knowing that Alicia wants to put the decorations up as soon as Thanksgiving is over. So, I'm like, I don't want to go get the tree. And where's that doggone box? And bring up the lights. I just didn't want to do it. But it makes her so happy. But it hurts me so much to think that sometimes the only thing she wants me to do is just to get the tree up stairs and the parts put together. Not being present to help decorate it, to listen to bells will be ringing. Ooh, in the night. So y'all know me. I know I like music, but I don't know not too many words. I do know silent night. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Holy night. That's the Temptations. There's no version of Silent Night that tops the Temptations. Man, I just realized something. I just got excited. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Yo, I didn't plan for this. I'm blessing me. The Lord is blessing me. Just reliving the sorrow that I had around how long I've been on this thing. Okay. The sorrow that I've had around the holidays and hating that I was quenching the joy and the excitement that my wife had and that the kids had, and really just not wanting to but to be able to chuckle at the fact that I sang a song. I don't know who's watching me. Whenever I would do that in the church, they knew that's pastor. I don't know who's watching me or who will see this. And the Temptations, this that wasn't manufactured. That wasn't fake. That is my joy. And I'm telling you that when you can recognize your triggers, you can get ahead of them. I think in the description it said, let's stop playing defense. We should start playing offense. I don't have to wait for the enemy to attack me with my triggers. See, the only God is sovereign. And what the devil does is he will use time, trauma, and trash to run that play in your life because he can't be everywhere at all times. So he keeps running this play. But when you can foil the play, when you can see where the triggers are, you can beat him at his own game by circumventing them, by realizing that you have a community and that you're not by yourself. So again, for me, it was decorations, and I celebrate. Lord, thank you. Thank you so much for how you brought me and where you brought me from, and what used to be a trigger for a dark place, a trigger for a spiral, a trigger for something that had to last 30, 35 days. And even on doing a live and trying to serve people who are trying to keep it together during the holidays, that you would allow me to tap into a place of joy that has not been there in prior years with a flavor as is now. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to worship God myself and thank him for that. You don't know. Oof, you don't know what I've had to fight through. These are, and I just want you to think about people that's in your community. These are already triggers that are hard for people who don't suffer with mental illness. But can you imagine how the compounded nature of this can really, really throw someone totally off, sometimes in a way that they can feel unreachable. I said I was gonna give you another one. I feel like that's enough for tonight. Let me just go back and check this chat and see. Yes, all right. So I'm gonna roll back. The most. All right, good, good, good. See some new faces. All right, all right. Yes, hello, Miss Paulette. It's good to see and hear you again. Yes, Laura, I am doing well. Ooh wee, Bo. Uh, to know where the trigger is to know how to respect the trigger. Yes, sir. I thank you for recording that one. I don't know if I'll remember that one. Quintilia Hilton. Yes, it does. My dad passed the day after Thanksgiving 2016, and my father-in-law passed 2 days before Thanksgiving. Ouch. Yeah, that can be hard. That can be real hard. You know what? If maybe I can help you. I do a free 15-minute call or whatever, and even beyond that, we can craft some strategy. It's not too late. If you If in our text message, if you text at the bottom of the screen there, JW3 to 844-868-9955, and ask you some questions, ask you for your name, but I can talk to you. So if you texted me that you're interested in that, I'll give you the link and you can find some time on my calendar that we can try to make that happen. Yes, Jamie, I've already started praying for you. Already started praying for you. Sounds like my father, and I understand that trigger. Yep. My trigger is friends wanting to do things. Yes, yes. All right. So, Lisa, I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. Friends that want to do things, I think you should do them if you can. What the what? Oh, it's time for our family. Y'all hold on. Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. I'm wrapping up. I'll quit reading the messages. Say hello, everybody. All right. That's Quad, and then that's Jordan, and that's my wife. I hope y'all didn't hear what he said. Anyway, y'all give me 1 second. Babe, I'll be in 1 minute. All right, I got to go. I got to roll. Your trigger is friends want to do. Same thing, Lisa. If you drop just text. Let me stop it. If you text that word right there, shoot me a message, reply back. Maybe I can explain more fully in that 15 minutes. If not, we can schedule something else out there. You got the voice tonight, Doc. Yeah, you know why too. Familiar triggers. Being so gullible is my trigger. And after I realized what I've done. Yep. All right, I gotta go tonight. Hey, Kelly, triggers are Christmas, my birthday, Mother's Day. Yes. So now you know, and you can be way more aware. We need to talk by all means, Kelly. Let's do that.